Welcome back, everybody. I don't know why I started with a but I figured I'd change it up today. It is Tuesday. Oh my god, let's start that again. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 28th of February, 2023. That makes today episode 59, and I'm losing my marbles, losing my mind. I I have just, been doing this a long time, and I don't know what to talk about any day, and I've said that before, so let's move on. Tuesday, the 28th of Feb. I am 60 days in, well, 59 days. Tomorrow's 60 days. That's crazy. I'm keen to see what day 100 looks like. I'm keen to see what day 365 looks like. I don't remember what I've said in any of these things. Like, I can remember back to a few of them, so I'm probably going to repeat myself multiple times, but I can remember back to some of them, but I don't remember. I'd have to listen to them again to know what I've been talking shit about, and I don't know, and that's funny to me, because I'm so interested to see how I develop between now and, like, the end of the year, and what that looks like on the grand scheme of this podcast, audio journal, project, vanity thing, who knows, but yeah, I had a good day yesterday. It was a pretty good day. I actually have a story. I went to the gym last night. I've my legs still sore from running, so I've stopped running, and I'm gonna give running a break this week. But I'm still gonna keep my cardio up and keep up with my gym. And so last week I was a bit lazy. I haven't been to the gym to like do any lifting. So yesterday I decided to do a chest, shoulder, tricep workout. You know, just something basic to get myself back into the gym. And because I haven't been really feeling motivated, and you go through these ebbs and flows. And I knew that going into it, but man, it was really hard to motivate myself last week. And this is where motivation and discipline are discerned, right? You need to have the discipline to go whether you're motivated or not. And I am not that guy yet. And, you know, I'm man enough to admit it. Human enough to admit it, I should say. But anyway, I was going to the gym last night, and so I get off the train, because I use the public transport system, and I get off the train just near my house. And as I'm getting off, there's like 4 police officers, or copper dogs, if you will. And they had, I don't know, I want to say like a mental patient, like, you know, some fat thing in a red snapback and like a blue, it was like a wind cheater. It was like a you know, like a rain spray jacket, but it was like blue. And I make comment about them being fat because they were fat. You know what I mean? They were sitting on the ground, probably couldn't get up. Anyway, I was like, oh, what's going on here? And they were like inside a fence, like on towards the train tracks, away from the walking path that goes to the train tracks, if that makes sense. So clearly this person is like down hanging out in an area they shouldn't be hanging out in, which is why the police have been called. And so I've made the assumption that this person's like, you know, someone was probably trying to jump in front of a train, or, you know, something stupid like that. It could just be that this person is like just mentally unwell, and was in the wrong side of the fence, didn't know that they were there, whatever. Anyway, so that happens when I get off the train. It's like about 7 o'clock. And then about 7:40, I'm going up to the gym, and I'm walking up towards the gym, and this person's still there with the cops. And I was like, fuck, what a waste of taxpayers' dollars, you know? These cops have been standing there for, 40 minutes that I know of, but they might have been there for a long time before that, right? And they're not doing anything. They're not making any moves. They're not arresting this person. There's just 4 of them standing talking to this person. And then as I'm walking closer down to the gym, I see an ambulance, and I was like, okay, maybe this person's hurt themselves, or they're getting like a mental welfare check, whatever. Anyway, as I'm walking to the gym, I noticed there's this red car pulled into the driveway of the gravel car park that is connected to the train station. So there's a primary car park up one end, and then past the train station there's another gravel car park that's been set up just because there's so many cars that like to park. And I'm walking past, and I just noticed it was like, you know, it was like one of those things. I'm looking back at this guy and the police officers, and then as I'm walking past, I can see in my peripherals, and I pay very little attention to it. This red, it was a Toyota RAV4, so it was like a small SUV, and it's just sitting there idle, whatever. And I was like, oh, this person's just pulled up, probably waiting for someone to get off the train. There was a train pulling up at the same time as well. Man, I'm getting those P's going hard, sorry. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I'm just moving on, and then I see the ambulance, and then I was like, cool, I need to get into headspace for the gym. So I'd forget all about it. I don't worry about it, right? And I'd think, I'll tell Mads when I get home. Maybe I could talk about it tomorrow on the podcast, which is where we're at today. And I do my workout. I did 10 minutes on the rowing machine, which, fuck, that sucks. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do a little bit more, but I'm like, I just had to do what I needed to do to keep my cardio up while I'm not running. Oh, speaking of trains. And then I did a chest workout, and then I was on my way home, and I'm leaving the gym at about, it was probably 9 o'clock, right? After my cardio, and after I do because I do some stretching now to make sure that I'm like good to go. Some aerobic stretches, not static stretches. Yeah, the real ones know what I'm talking about. Anyway, man, I'm so sorry. I keep like laughing and talking right into that microphone. I'm going to try and get that. Maybe I need to update it so it's not got that P's going. Anyway, I'm leaving, and that red car is still idle in the gravel car park as I get to it. And I was like, that's odd. But I also can't see any silhouettes of anybody in the car. I was like, Now, normally I would just fucking leave it be. But there was cars stolen from the neighbor's house a couple doors down like a month ago. There's a car in the gravel car park that's had that's been like stripped for parts. It's just a car that had been sitting there. So I was like, I'm going to call like the non-emergency number for the police just so that they can come and check this out, because this is clearly someone's car. Like I would hate it looks new too. It looks like maybe a 2018 model, like a brand new off the shop floor. Maybe it's been around for a little bit. It doesn't have much dust on it. It looks really new. So my first thought was, it might be that mental patient's. I'm going to call them the mental patient because I don't want to say fat again, but maybe that mental patient's car, maybe they got out and like just started running or whatever from the cops, or maybe they left it running and they got out and they were like, ooh, there's a train coming. I got to go get on the track so it hits me or whatever. Who knows, right? And then my other thought was like, what if it's not theirs? Whose is it? What the fuck's going on? So I called the cops and they were like, I called the non-emergency number and they were like, hey, before we start, is there anyone bleeding or like any injury? I was like, no, it's just a car. And then I explained what happened, and he's like, I'm going to put you through to 000. And I was like, why? That's an emergency number. And he's like, well, because we can't dispatch anybody. It has to be through this. And so then he joined me on the call and we went through this whole process or whatever. And then I called Mads and I was like, do I take the keys out of the car? Do I just let it keep running? Like, what do I do? And then she basically told me to stop being nosy and just to come home. And I thought, oh yeah, true. If I have like fingerprints on this car or anything like that, if there's something more sinister going on, all I can say is I called and I'm the guy. I gave him my name. I gave him my address so they could find me if they needed to. I'm so sorry that I yawned. Yeah. Sorry, my mum. I got another story as well. What was I saying? Yeah, I stopped being nosy. What if it was something more sinister? And I was thinking, like, what if they like opened the boot and there's someone in the boot? You know, like what the fuck? But anyway, that was my Good Samaritan story yesterday. I'm hoping that car gets returned to its owner, and I hope that person got the help that they need, especially because they spent a good amount of taxpayers' money, for 4 cops to be standing there for at least an hour. I hope that, they're all good. Anyway, the text I just got from my mum that distracted me. She said they're opening a Neville Bonner bridge in Brisbane. Neville Bonner was, I believe, the first. Neville Bonner. He was the first Indigenous Australian. The first Aboriginal Australian to become a member of the Parliament of Australia. And so I learned about him in school. Anyway, I was naughty. I was I was young and I was influenced by stupidity, and so I made we were doing an oral presentation in history class about historical figures, and I had Neville Bonner allocated to me. And I learned about him, and I made a slideshow presentation where I started with photos of native indigenous people, so painted and around a campfire. And I was trying to make this tasteless joke about look at how far they've come, right? Being indigenous people, from the natives to being in Parliament. And it was insensitive. It was a wrong joke to make. I shouldn't have made it. But I was also 14, right? And I'd grown up in shitty housing. I'd grown up in shitty circumstances. Look, I can make any excuse under the sun. It was racism, and it was learned, and it was inappropriate, and I shouldn't have done. But the teacher called me out on it, because I didn't get a chance to present it. She wanted to see it before I'd started, and she was like, I had explained it, and I was trying to show her what was going on, and I was getting laughs from all the boys in the class, and it was it was a funny thing at the time, but also because we were all just little dickheads, right? And we also I hadn't been exposed to I guess the horrors. I wasn't comprehending the shit. I didn't learn about Rabbit Proof Fence or anything like that until I didn't watch Rabbit Proof Fence till a couple of years after that. So I hadn't learned about anything up until that point. And so I thought it was all just banging and clanging sticks and all the bullshit. I thought Captain Cook was a good dude, all that sort of stuff. So she kicks me out of the class, and then she pulls me outside, and she says, "What is your mum going to think of that?" And I said, "My mum won't care. She's more racist than I am," which is two parts. I acknowledged that what I was doing was racist, and I also threw my mum under the bus. Now, my mum also grew up in shitty circumstances. She also grew up in she was born in the 60s, so grew up in the 70s. I mean, pretty sure late 60s was when Indigenous people started getting rights. So again, she grew up in a time where racism was a normal thing. And so I was then raised by this woman, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I get kicked out. I have to go to another class, a teacher named Miss Gillies. And I go to her classroom, and she's got fucking a whole class, and she asked me in front of a few people why I'm there. And I said, I got kicked out of class. And she's like, what happened? And I said, I don't want to tell you the story, whatever. She's like, well, you can't stay here. You have to go somewhere else. I was like, well, where am I supposed to go? I can't go back to class. And so she comes outside, and I tell her the whole story. I tell her exactly what happened. I didn't lie to her. I figured that my mum always told me the best thing you can do is tell the truth, even if you're in the wrong. I was like, okay, cool. So I told her the whole story, and she's like, what are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And so from this point of view, from the teacher's point of view, I'm just a fucking little racist dickhead, right? And I got harassed pretty much from after that by the teacher that kicked me out of the classroom, and she ended up leaving the school a couple years later. But anyway, I call my mom on the way home because I've got a phone, and I'm old enough to have a phone. She wants to keep me safe. So I ended up leaving school, and I called mom on the way home, and I said, hey mom, this is what happened. I explained her the whole story from front to finish, front to back. And she was like, you idiot, don't do that. And so she gets a call from the school from Miss Gillies, and she says she spoke to me, she spoke to the teacher, she explained the whole situation. And she said to my mum, afterwards, I'm not sure if you've heard, but there's been an incident at school today. Explains the whole situation, and then says to my mum, now I'm not sure if Mitch has told you any of that. And my mum said, he said everything word for word. And then she goes, in fact, you actually missed a few details. And the teacher was like, oh, okay, because obviously they were expecting me to be a liar as well. And but mum said that this teacher, though she was doing the right thing, she lost all credibility because she kept calling him Neville Boner. Now, this lady was an English teacher, and Neville Bonner has two N's. Most words with two N's are pronounced in a similar fashion. I think like I don't know, spanner, right? One N changes the pronunciation. Anyway, she kept calling him Neville Boner, and my mum was like, "Look, what you did was wrong, but those people are fucking retarded." Oh, I shouldn't have said that, man. Oh, I'm just bigoted, aren't I? No, but these people are so fucking stupid because you've clearly you've done the wrong thing, sure, but they can't even pronounce his name properly. So who's in the wrong? Who's worse, right? Like, she keeps calling him Neville Boner. He's a political figure. Mum was teaching me about him too. She knew all about him. She had mad respect for the whole process. Anyway, it is what it is. I just that's a funny story to me. I probably didn't relay it here with any justice, but I feel like there's a story to be told there about this naivete of me being, this young kid who doesn't understand anything about Indigenous Australia, and instead of a moment of teaching where my teachers could have explained to me that what I was doing was wrong, I got punished for something that they were also ignorant to. Because if you're not gonna not gonna bother to learn his name and understand the political significance of him, how can I be any more racist than you? Especially when you're 20, 30 years my senior. So yeah, that's the end of that. I apologize for using the R word. I probably shouldn't use that. But we'll double down. I'll just say midget too, because, that's also apparently not good to say. So now I've just said a few things that if anyone's going to get upset at anything, well, let's just add to the list. Have a good day, guys. Thank you for listening again. Today, episode 59, Tuesday, 28th of February. 28th of, I almost said 29th, but that doesn't exist. All right, see you.